Members of the graduating class, families, and friends, on behalf of the faculty, staff, and administration, welcome to the 135th commencement exercises of the University of Connecticut. Hello, my name is Michael Derry, and I am the University Marshal, and I will be acting as your Master of Ceremonies for this commencement exercise today. Now, will the audience please rise and join the student a cappella group, the Cordials, in the singing of our national anthem. And gentlemen, please remove your hats.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, and now it's my honor to introduce Chantel Honeygan from the class of 2015 to recite the poem she wrote entitled Speak. Chantel?
My life was like a loaded gun, waiting for someone to use me, waiting to be pointed in any direction. My reflection was silver bullet clean. My look was mean mugging me. Then a wise man came and said it was time for change, so I rearranged my thoughts, and his words shot me back into reality. He told me that he preferred a more nonviolent approach, and that it was the silence of my presence that was the most deadly. Mama always said, baby, use your mouth, use your words. For too long we have been silenced, and now we are falling back into the traps of society, of being known as being too loud because we are black. But let me retract to bring back the facts. Our ancestors took lashes for saying their names. Now, in vain we remain in silence, too silent, too afraid, so we hide our voices deep in our throats as if we have the right to remain silent. For anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Flawed. The truth is, you have the right to not remain silent, for anything you say can and will be the deciding factor of life or death. case you didn't catch it yet, let me reflect. Death or life, a factor deciding to be, will do or can, or say you anything, for silent remain not to write that have you like. You have the right to not remain silent, for anything you say can and will be the deciding factor of life or death. So speak up, so speak out, so speak loud, so speak now. For too long we have seen ourselves as victims when in reality we are victors. For how could I see myself as powerless when I serve a God that is all powerful? I'm telling you. As I spoke these words, I could hear my heart speak as my mouth beat, and it reminded me of my favorite poet who once said, silence is deadly. No wonder they say to speak now or forever hold your peace. So my brothers speak, so my sisters speak. For until you speak, I will not rest in peace. I said, until you speak, I will not rest in peace, but I will rest in pieces, trying to piece together the pieces of the puzzle that has me puzzled and perplexed, because I think it is preposterous that you have allowed fear to prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. And there has been a paradigm shift of paradoxes, and I pity the fool with a plethora of excuses, for they will perish. So cherish your words. Let these words move you to change. And if this is my last request, I beg of you, please open your mouth. Use your voice as an instrument to become instrumental. Please speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel. I would like to begin by acknowledging the members of the university community who have gathered here to join in the celebration of this afternoon's commencement. The members of the university's Senior Administrative Office, our Board of Trustees, and the Deans of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences have worked alongside the assembled faculty and staff to provide the educational experiences that characterize a UConn degree. Will the faculty, staff, and administration please rise as we give them our heartfelt thanks. And now it's my privilege to introduce the Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School, Kent Holsinger. Dr. Holsinger.
Dean Teitelbaum, distinguished guests, members of the CLAS faculty, families, friends, mothers and grandmothers, and most especially the class of 2014, I'm delighted to welcome you this afternoon. I'm also smart enough to realize you didn't come here this afternoon to hear me speak. There is, after all, a reason why speeches at ceremonies like this come first. It's what you might call the live frog principle, after Mark Twain's observation that if you eat a live frog in the morning, then nothing worse will happen all day. I'll only add one further bit of advice. If you have to eat a live frog, eat it quickly. It'll go down faster and easier that way. I hope this speech isn't a live frog, and I can't promise that it will go down easily, but I can promise that it will go down quickly. In fact, I have only a couple of pieces of advice that I want to share with the graduating class today. First, I hope you fail quickly and you fail often. You see, as the novelist and comic book author Neil Gaiman put it a few years ago, if you're making mistakes, it means you're out there doing something. And if your liberal arts degree has prepared you for anything, it has prepared you for doing something. Something could mean writing a great novel, raising happy children, teaching in a school or college, working in a large corporation or government agency, starting your own business, or any of 1,000 different things. Whatever something means for you, I hope your something is something that matters. And since doing something that matters means making a lot of mistakes along the way, my first hope for you is that you fail quickly and you fail often. Second, I hope that you find your inner unicorn. Now, the unicorn, of course, is that mythical animal with the body of the horse, the hooves and beard of a goat, and the tail of a lion with a slender spiral horn on its head. Now, you might think that I hope you find this unicorn because it would mean that you've discovered the fabulous synthesis that lies in the wonder of art, literature, natural science, and social science, the liberal arts disciplines. And if you thought that, you would be partly right, but you'd be only partly right. I really hope that you find your inner unicorn because in traditional heraldry, unicorns are shown collared, but with a collar that has a broken chain. You see, unicorns cannot be bound, just as I hope your imagination will never be bound. That's why I hope you find your inner unicorn. Your hard work and persistence brought you to this ceremony, along with more than a few all-nighters and dozens of pizzas. But it didn't bring you here because this was your destination. It brought you here because this ceremony is a commencement, a new beginning, an opening to new possibilities, the point at which you apply what you've learned to the challenges that lie ahead, whether those challenges lie first in additional study or in a job. In less than a couple of hours, you will walk out the doors of Gamble as the newest UConn alums. But you won't walk out those doors alone. You reach this day because friends, teachers, mentors, and family supported you along the way. Please take time to thank all of them, and especially thank your mothers and grandmothers on this very special day. Today, after all, is Mother's Day, and it is in fact the 100th anniversary of the official proclamation establishing Mother's Day as a national holiday. When you walk out those doors in a couple of hours, you may no longer be UConn students, but you are now and will always be Huskies forever. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Vice Provost Holsinger. And now, let me introduce the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Dr. Jeremy Teitelbaum.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome all of you to this commencement ceremony today. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, I wish you a happy Mother's Day. We're gathered here to celebrate academic and scholarly achievement, and before we recognize the achievements of our students, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few of the faculty of the college for their special academic achievements this year. First, I'd like to recognize the faculty who received the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Excellence in Teaching Awards for 2013-2014. The recipients of this award are extraordinary classroom teachers and mentors, as well as accomplished researchers, and they are chosen by a committee of their peers. This year's awardees are Sam Best, Associate Professor of Political Science, David Miller, Professor of Psychology, and Frederick Roden, Associate Professor of English. Clearly, we made good choices. So Professors Best and Roden are at this particular ceremony, so could I ask them to rise and be recognized? Two of the college's faculty were designated Board of Trustees Distinguished Professors this year. This is the highest award that the university can bestow on a faculty member and recognizes outstanding excellence in research, teaching, and service. The two awardees were Professors Nancy Naples of Women and Gender Studies and Sociology and Professor Kathy Segerson of the Department of Economics, and I believe the economists are at this ceremony, so Professor Segerson, could you stand up? Well, let's give her a round of applause in absentia. And now it's a pleasure to introduce Andrew Gates, who is graduating today with a degree in political science and will be our student speaker. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you today. It's truly an honor. Really, after 4 years of coming to basketball games, I'm finally up on the Jumbotron. In Chapter 10 of the children's novel, The Phantom Tollbooth, the reader is introduced to two cities, aptly named Illusions and Reality. Illusions is a beautiful, ornate city that doesn't actually exist, and reality is seemingly not there. It's then explained that reality used to be as beautiful and ornate and happy as illusions, but one day, people realized that if they walked quickly and looked only at their feet, they could save a significant amount of time. Soon, everyone engaged in the practice, and the city faded away until it was invisible. And at that point, its inhabitants just went right on living, quote, in houses they could no longer see, and on streets which had vanished because nobody noticed a thing. When Norton Juster wrote the book in the early 1960s, the America he lived in had no cell phones or computers, and there was no internet. The situation he presented, however, was more relevant now than he ever could have imagined. The modern technology we have today prevents us from ever disengaging from the world, from work, and from life in general. It doesn't allow us to slow down and stop and enjoy and notice the world around us. Gone are the times from even 10 years ago when your work email would stay at work and people called your home phone. So if you weren't home, then they'd leave a message and you'd get back to them when it was convenient for you. Today, we're all interconnected. If you leave your cell phone at home, you're shunned, as society demands that any communication receive an instantaneous response. I had a friend tell me that her parents called the police to report her missing after she didn't answer her phone on the second ring. As you enter the job market, that's what's going to be expected of you. 8 to 10 hour days have been replaced with 8 to 10 hours plus being expected to respond to your phone calls and emails all day, every day. Now, as a huge proponent of the integration of technology into our everyday lives, I hope you'll hear the seriousness of my words as I ask you to every once in a while, just for a while, disconnect. Stop what you're doing, go outside, look up at the sky, turn off your cell phone for a weekend, notice a friend could use a helping hand, and do what you can for them. Spend time with your family without continuously glancing down at your phone. If it rings, let it. If it's important, they'll call back. As cliche as it may sound, sometimes you need an excuse to stop and smell the roses. Just don't eat them, they have thorns, it'll hurt. We've sped through our time here at UConn for the past 4 or so years for most of us. How many of you have stopped to acknowledge someone who's made your time here better or possible? I haven't done that nearly as often as I should have. Take a minute today, or this week, to thank a professor who helped you when you struggled in their class, the advisor or the leadership of an organization you were a part of, the maintenance staff that kept your dorm clean, and the dining hall workers that kept you fed. Perhaps most importantly, your parents or guardians for all they've done for you over the past 20 plus years. Thanks, Mom and Dad, and happy Mother's Day, Mom. You guys are going to create the next Facebook and find a cure for cancer, write the next hit novel like Harry Potter or The Hunger Games. And coming from a top-tier public university, we're going to change the world. But that's not the only important thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out in the world and work long and hard hours to succeed. You have to do that. It's imperative. Just pause every once in a while and take a look at the world around you. You don't want to miss something important. It could disappear, and you'd never know it was gone. As we leave here today, taking the first step into what they say is the rest of our lives, think to yourself, am I going to be the individual that speeds through life looking only at my feet or the little screen in front of my face, not noticing who or what I pass by or come into contact with? Or am I going to walk down the street with my head up, looking at the trees and the flowers and everything around me, greeting the people I pass, and living life to the fullest. Congratulations, UConn Class of 2014. You did it. We did it. Thanks for your time. Now let's go out there and show the world what it means to be a Husky.
Makes it a hard act to follow, you know. Thank you, Andrew. That was great. And now it's an academic custom that those who have excelled in science, letters, the arts, or have served humanity through writing or their acts should be appropriately honored. Today, the university is to award one honorary doctorate at this ceremony. The citation will be presented and the degree will be conferred by the Vice Provost for Graduate Education, Dr. Kent Holsinger. The candidate will then be presented by the Honorary Hooding Marshal, Dean Jeremy Teitelbaum.
The mission of any college committed to the teaching of both the liberal arts and the sciences is to enable intellectual curiosity and academic success in students from all backgrounds. With this mission in mind, we are especially privileged to honor today a man who over the past 25 years has been a leading figure in the promotion of mathematics education in the United States. Dr. Philip Uri Treisman, during your distinguished career as a researcher and educator, you have demonstrated a true commitment to encouraging and empowering students from underrepresented groups to achieve success in the fields of mathematics and science. You received your Bachelor of Science summa cum laude from the University of California at Los Angeles and your PhD from the University of California at Berkeley in interdisciplinary mathematics and education. It was there at Berkeley that you began your exemplary career. In the 1980s, your groundbreaking research set a standard for effective intervention that promotes the success of traditionally underrepresented groups in mathematics and other STEM fields. You designed, developed, and tested social learning programs that have proven over time and at many universities throughout the country to improve minority student performance in mathematics. Throughout your eminent career, you have earned honors and awards from a diverse array of institutions. In 1990, Newsweek named you as one of 3 American educators on the leading edge of innovation. In 1992, you were honored with a MacArthur Fellowship for your work in developing programs to strengthen the education of minority and rural students. In 1999, the magazine Black Issues in Higher Education named you one of the outstanding leaders in higher education in the 20th century. In 2006, the Harvard Foundation of Harvard University named you Scientist of the Year, and you are currently senior partner in the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. Your current work through the Charles A. Dana Center at the University of Texas, Austin aims to improve the performance of African American and Hispanic K-12 students in Texas and across the United States. You're a member of 3 National Academy of Science committees concerned with American education, including a study of the science of mathematics learning. You are also an advisor to the Military Child Education Coalition and have served as an expert juror for Department of Defense study of the challenges of transition for high school-aged military students. Throughout your career, you have worked tirelessly to understand how students learn math and science and have used that knowledge to enhance educational opportunities for our nature's future scientific leaders. Philip Uri Treisman, for your continued commitment to science and mathematics education at the local, state, and national level, for your vast body of research that serves as a bedrock for new and innovative learning technologies, and for your unending drive to raise educational standards and accountability, the University of Connecticut is proud to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa. By virtue of the authority invested in me by the trustees of the University of Connecticut, and in accordance with the procedures and regulations of the university, it is my special pleasure to confer upon you this day, May 11th, 2014, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with all the appropriate rights, responsibilities, and distinctions pertaining thereto.
So, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, administrators, faculty, staff, family and friends, and Huskies, the class of 2014, you're almost done. It's really good to be here, and I want you to know I'm having one hell of a flashback looking at that Jumbotron. So I was privileged to be a student at UCLA in the era where our men's basketball team won 10 NCAA championships in 12 years, 7 in a row, 88 consecutive games. And all year I have been rooting for the Huskies, and I am hoping that the men will win 6 championships in a row, not 7. But I do know that the women have already surpassed UCLA's records with 90 consecutive wins, and they're unstoppable. And not just the basketball players, the rest of you. So I want you to know that most of my fellow alumni of the class of '69, 45 years ago, no longer remember the names of any of the distinguished people that gave us our degrees. We don't remember the names of our deans, president, chancellor, provost. Even though we took over the office in '68 of our chancellor, me and about 100 of my buddies, we don't even remember his name, which is the final indignity. But we all remember Coach Wooden's name, because he taught us about, with delicacy and grace, about the responsibilities of adulthood. He taught us that reputation was about what other people thought of you. It wasn't so important, but that character was what you really are, and that's what you should spend your precious resources developing. So you may have seen films of the time when I was a student. Half of us would be protesting, the other half were in ROTC getting ready for Vietnam. But we all went to the bar and drank beer together to watch our games. The great unifying force. So I do know that some of you actually are not sports fans and have not been following the Huskies. But I want you to know there's still time, because human beings are unique and that we get to continually rewrite our histories. So in 20 or 30 years, you'll all have fond remembrances of Coach Ali, Coach Auriemma, and whether you did it or you didn't, of rooting for the Huskies. And you're going to discover that the most valuable lessons you take away from UConn are probably not those acquired in individual classrooms, but through the interactions with your peers, including those that seem rather mundane, and your interactions with the Institute writ large. So more than 100 years ago, Charles William Eliot, who was president of Harvard, was asked why Harvard was such a storehouse of great wisdom. And he said, it's really simple. The reason is the freshmen bring in so much and the graduates take out so little. But I do not think that's the case at UConn. Now I know, as the provost said, you're all joyfully getting ready for celebrations, and you're praying that this commencement speech will be really short. But I know you're old enough to know that some of the greatest pleasures in life are enhanced by anticipation. So as a special gift, I planned a really long commencement address for you. No, only kidding you. So, you know, commencement addresses are a special genre type. We're supposed to implore you to be superhuman, to change the world, to think outside the box. But the reality is, the only people who successfully think outside of the box are people who actually know what's inside the box. And that's the gift that UConn has given you, and I hope that you'll take that knowledge and put it to use in the world. So the important thing is to do the little things that are the DNA of democracy. And they're the things that demographic data and polling shows young people do not do. One is showing up for jury duty. And I mean without T-shirts that say, I support capital punishment for misdemeanors. Right? Voting, which is probably the most important. I know it feels like you can't make a difference as an individual and you don't like the people running. But it turns out that when you collectively disengage from civic and political processes, small groups of people passionate about marginal issues, thanks to the Supreme Court with a boatload of untraceable money, actually get to determine the character and culture of our country. And it's only by building the connective tissue in our society through small acts of service and responsible citizenship that we can counter that, at least partially. I also know that many of you think that we have really screwed up with some justification, and that this is the most polarized period in the United States history. You have perspective, you need it. Remember, there was that pesky Civil War. So we've had other times like this, but what history teaches us is that they're followed by periods of national reconciliation. And it will fall to you, Huskies, to really step up and make sure we rebind our country together, e pluribus unum. So it sounds sort of grand, all these small acts of civic service, but they're the bedrock of our democracy, of a country that's based on commitment to common ideals rather than common blood. It used to be that it was easier to maintain our democracy because we were a beacon unto the world. But if you travel internationally, as I do, more and more people see that this beacon has dimmed. They see us as responsible for reckless wars in the Middle East, and with some justification for a financial crisis that was shaped by unregulated American greed. So you have a lot of work to do out there, but you're up to it. You're Huskies, and you have a really solid education. Now, parents. So I know, dear parents and families, that some of you are hoping that we will return your children to you, now financially viable, but essentially unchanged. It's not going to happen. The author Richard Russo said that going to college is like being put in a witness protection program. If your kids come out of this process unrecognizable, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. Now, for those parents, if you don't know the beautiful Yiddish word kvel, I want to teach it to you. Kvel means to burst with pride at the accomplishments of your children. And it's a great honor here to be in a collective kvelling environment. You can feel the kvelling coming through the air. So I also know that some of you parents are wondering whether you made a good financial investment in your child's education. I want to assure 2/3 of you that you actually have. The reason it's only 2/3 that need my affirmation is that the other third are going to be able to tell directly because you're going to going home to move in with them. So, I know that you owe a lot to your institution, and I hope you're thinking of how you can repay and honor your beloved institution. Well, I want you to know that the UConn Development Office has a lot of ideas about this. And if you think Person of Interest is fiction, they have the technology, Northern Lights. When your number comes up, they will find you. And I hope you will be generous. But seriously, you might wonder how you can honor your great faculty members. The best way to honor them is to surpass their accomplishments. And the best way to honor your institution and your education is to go out and create a more perfect union. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Treisman. Now, I'd like to welcome to the podium College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Associate Dean Davida Sylvan Glassberg, who will recognize those students graduating with academic distinctions.
It is now my great pleasure to recognize this year's students who are graduating with academic distinction. These students represent the finest tradition of scholastic excellence in the college. I now ask the students with the following designations to stand. University scholars, please stand. Honors scholars, please stand. Students graduating summa cum laude, please stand. Magna cum laude. And cum laude. The names of these outstanding students are listed in the program. Please join me now in acknowledging the exceptional performance of some of our finest CLAS students. Congratulations.
Candidates for degrees will now be presented by the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. They will be congratulated by the deans of the college and processed to the pavilion floor as directed by the marshals. Marshals, take your stations. Photographers will be taking photographs of our graduates as they are presented. And I've asked our marshals and our event staff to keep our aisles and floor clear for the passage of our students. Please stay behind the plaza barriers up there, away from the pavilion floor if you wish to take your own photographs. Please be sensitive to those family members whose view you may or will be blocking as you stand there. Remember, they would like to get photographs of their son or daughter also. Please do not remain on the plaza. It must be kept clear. And as your students' names are being read, we appreciate that you get excited and you want to cheer and do everything. Do it, but remember, when you do that, nobody else can hear the other students' names being read. So please keep that in mind. And thank you. At this time, we will pass the diplomas.
I will be reading first.
Yeah, so it's a cadence. We'll get to, yeah. This is hard.
No, I'm good.
And you're gonna put it on the stream. Okay. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Thank you so much. Roll my bed out. I'm Liz.
So you're the pro here. Then, huh?
Morning shift too, or is this well, I've been working all day. So you're ready. I did strength the last time that I was out with that. The one before that I did. But they did it differently. All right, 5 after 5. See if we can do this one. So they all went pretty smoothly? Yeah, this one went really smoothly. Like the one before this was like identical to this one. All right. A lot to live up to. Yeah. You set the bar. Well, just before we had problems with like the kids not having their cards filled out and stuff. That's whenever you have this, so that's what's
Jenny Fonseca,
Jennifer Caraballo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Linda Marie Volkov,
Lindsay
Volkov.
Schiller.
Christopher Esposito,
Tiffany Pack.
Loretta L.L. White,
Tyler Dunn,
Michael Daniels,
Mackenzie Summers,
Andrew Gates,
Casey Lee Evans,
Lakeisha Brissett,
Sadie Mae Doyle,
Brett Liu,
Andrew Shaler,
Sankey Williams,
Ryan Crane,
David Best,
Kurt Marut,
Mia Sinatro,
John Gardner,
Brittany Busquet,
Connor Armstrong,
Allison Risbridger,
Richard Sandman,
Christina Conway,
Amanda Ray Stark,
Samantha Smith, best name yet,
Savannah Garrison,
Madeline Kelly,
Peter Santilli,
okay, Patrick Murphy,
Tyler McEwen,
John Hudak,
John Ryan Foster,
Michael Holler,
James Connor,
Julie Cronick,
John Sino,
Timothy Robert Williams,
JBLU,
Devor Domovich,
Michael DiNatale,
Marilia Amorim,
Jonathan DeRoche,
Emily Herbst,
Kevin Downs,
Corinne Wasik,
Latea Wright,
Frankie Huertas,
Robert Mancini,
Michael Ryan,
Kiera Morales,
Zachary John Zembrello,
Christopher Dugan,
James Philip Santos Flickinger III,
Sarah Benitez,
Joshua Johnson,
Tyler Morrissey,
Steve Michelson,
Mariah Monroe,
Hillary Booth,
Kerry Longabugo,
Victoria Campbell,
Robert Albreda,
Alexia Rose Hayes,
Michael McMurray,
Jessica Pavanel,
Lauren Bent,
Andrea Limon,
Lily Rhodes,
Sejun Park,
Carolyn Pennington,
Juan Resui,
Olowataya Edwards,
Yanchi Lin,
Bria Hartley,
Michelle Healy, Jacqueline
Layla-
Cataldo,
Layla Rabatis,
Ashley Galloway,
Fayaha Chaudhary,
Jordan Hensley,
Jessica Goodwin,
Katarina Vagan,
Chad Langford Peck,
Nicholas Moore,
Rikin Patel,
Natalie Ann Peterson,
Oleg Revejuk,
Philip Evan Hughes,
Richard Sands,
Jonathan Hoff,
Hunter Eldridge,
Eileen Yang,
Daryl Lonergan,
Nicholas Chu,
Christopher O'Brien,
Danielle Donnelly,
Russell Scott Dugan,
Harry Whitley,
Lauren Kahn,
Andrea Duramo,
Janet Tila,
Miam Yum,
Catherine Pipit,
Regan Miner,
William Skaplin,
John Francis Conway,
Sana Jalidi,
Ashley Elizabeth Violante Palma,
Melanie Maisie,
Shamara James,
Nolan Austin,
Chrisella Karaja,
Stephen Poland,
Thomas Samuels,
Connor Murphy,
Matthew Gantos,
Joseph Kirschner,
David Pearson,
David Song,
Stephen Zoller,
Jake Mertens,
Billy Latta,
Benjamin Williams,
Caitlin Murphy,
Jules Lefevre,
LaQuintas Brown,
Nadie Sewers,
Gregory Coffey,
Philip Holzager,
John Doherty,
Lucas Gogan
Lee
Gordon Loya,
Richardson. Sorry about that.
Hasib Khan,
Sarah Malure,
Zad Khan,
Alexandra O'Brien,
Paul Yumbla,
Alessia Testani,
Ryan Allen,
Erica J. Goldring,
Ben Aiton,
Brenda Wynn,
Patrick Bradley,
Isaac Edwards Jr.,
Matthew Vesey,
Silvana Valki,
Chibi Wananyuri,
Daniel Caceres,
Janina Panede,
Casey Barreccia,
Brendan Cheng,
Jared Epstein,
Johnny Pham,
Danny Helfrich,
Tony Villasane,
Adam Wolf,
Richard Kim,
Daniel Wallace,
Terry Chung,
Matthew Bond,
Cassandra Lai,
Kevin Jarboe,
Sierra Kai Kai,
Michael Romana,
Carly Carabrese,
Jasmine Skinner,
Nicholas Quadrini,
Jordan Manchester,
Dara McNichol,
Lindsay Garant,
Kristen Palacio Buffman,
Princess Chevelle Blissett,
Caitlin Parmalee,
Princess Stephanie London,
Courtney Robichaud,
Anthony Canosa,
Olivia Balsinger,
Spencer Parsons,
Joel Sinofsky,
Christopher Armand,
James Bitar,
Andrew Zielinski,
Kevin McPhee,
Jet Lee,
Brian Curran,
Alex Nodden,
Christopher Fletcher,
Kevin Liu,
Ryan Vishy,
Noah Plen,
Justin Papp,
John Marquis,
Adam Penrod,
Alexander Norman,
Arenza Feta,
Michael LaFavi,
Sina Sakakini,
Isaiah Farrow,
Jillian Bromfield,
Alex Kuchurgas,
Santi Matos,
Lauren Samaska,
Jimmy Duong,
Mary Von Steenbergen,
Christopher James Gelino,
Kyle Cunningham,
Rebecca Spatz,
David Lane,
Christina Giancos,
Mugil Choi,
Camon Cadavadis,
Adam Calderon,
Jerome Daly,
Ronald Bilodeau, Peter Loeb, Tyler Savat, Monica Mueller, Sean Hankard, David Logan Jr. David Lyon Jr., John Callahan, Andrew Berg, Tony Lee, Junji Hu, Lucas Kuna, Edgar Delafleur, Josh Squires, Ben Cassell,
Jenna Kester.
Matthew Nancy.
Kimberly Yakovo.
Logan Miner.
Caitlin Romania.
Rachel Amento.
Jezebel Monegro.
Thomas Jones.
Anouk Govil.
Holly Blanchard.
Crystal Goog.
Sarah Francis.
Lindsay Helbling.
Amanda Coffey.
Lucia Parisi.
Margot Liga.
Dylan Young.
Brian Falsgraf.
Walker McKee.
David Allen Levesque.
Michael Beers.
Olivia Petrowitz.
Yuriko Diaz.
Connor Warshaw.
Shael Etienne.
Leanne Waterbury.
Scarlett Michelle.
Nicole Raymond.
Tanner O'Brien.
Ernesto Soto.
Hank Cho.
Amber Jones.
Minjin Chan.
Cynthia Torres.
Matthew Silber.
David Head.
John Olquist.
Kenneth Gray.
David Arciniegas.
Taylor Gibo.
Miles Anderson.
Madeline Droney.
Sam Duffy Pretentis.
Tyler St. Louis.
Amar Abusete.
Sarah Burns.
Isabel Omanyobo.
Jadiel Cruz.
Marguerite Masulo.
Mark B. Kim.
Emily Butcher.
Is it Pat? Andy Park.
Stephanie Smario.
Hannah Cho.
Shavonda Brandon.
Sharon Huang.
Matthew Soto.
Carolina Hack.
Thomas Andrew Nemo.
Gerard Brown.
Greg Foote.
James Dowd.
Brad Stender.
Ainsley Bryce.
Barbara Augustine.
Anna Burbank.
Kelsey Mucharino.
Mary Mackey.
Stephanie Kaufman.
Carolyn Boylan.
John Rossi.
Carrie Zakreski.
Kenneth Redmond.
Michael Giappone.
Zine Yu.
Samuel Darby.
Lehman Fang.
Edward Bonessi.
Timothy Frosina.
Jennifer Arani.
Preston Lathrop.
Alexander Wheeler.
Andrea Kolinsky.
Mailing Cree.
Harrison Weller Nance.
Holly Wanneberger.
Tyler Olander.
Gabriela Donoso.
Tor Watts.
Joseph Basia. Good job.
Niels Giffey.
Michael Robbins.
Paul Karasquith.
Hillary Graham.
Joe Guarneri.
Sarah Wiley.
Taylor Jade Shaw.
James Onofrio.
Gina Ann Lasella.
Megan Anthony.
Jeffrey Hoffaker.
Caitlin D. Clement.
Brian Burns.
Michael Tarpey.
Joshua Thomas.
Mackey. Sarah Mackey.
Undana Uwazurike.
Rachel Bernafol.
Brittany Barnes.
Kwame Dunbar.
Christina Chiggering.
Courtney Arijo.
Kelsey Powell.
Kevin Ho.
Stephanie Chaplin.
Meredith Letso.
Alexa Hoffman.
Alexander Suchi.
Victoria Anderson.
Joseph Choi.
Rebecca Mondo.
Kevin Cawley.
Matthew Shikalski.
Andrew Scott Dombrowski.
Elif Aiken.
Justin Swigard.
Chanel Howell.
Matthew LaBelle.
Amir Sayed.
Matthew Ursery.
Sarah Edelman.
Rachel Ruiz.
Emily Miller.
Ricky Presto.
Skyla Skapovi.
Carly Gassione.
Inez Nyandekwe.
Marissa Pavlik.
Caitlin Kelly Julian.
Jessica Gambrazio.
Lauren Stavropoulos.
Christy Chibusky.
Natalie Cook.
Margot Vanderhayden.
Krista Scazzari.
Alyssa Malinowski.
Catherine Walker.
Caitlin Kenny.
Caterisi Caglione.
Lindsay Honig.
Alessandro Fernandez.
Jeremy Davis.
Jojo Antonelli.
Frank Vincent Guardi.
Jennifer Raymond.
Taylor Mack.
Timothy Manzi.
Marielle Taylor Smith.
David Merenstein.
Brian Goodwin.
Christiana Berry.
Joseph Reiser.
Nicholas Hind.
Jameson Iafa.
Teddy Margulies.
Robert Gross.
Manisha Rawe.
Kyle Clark.
Mallory Vrabely.
Anthony Sacco.
Alexandra Foster.
Sachin Magnani.
Marielle Avalone.
Callie Cooper.
Myra Reyes Alvarez.
Kyle Cease.
Mary Elizabeth Davis.
June Shin.
Alexandra Eliades.
Danielle Filson.
Rebecca Berry.
Molly Fogarty.
Christine Lewis.
Andrew O'Connor.
Caroline LaRosa.
Ryan Squala.
Maura O'Brien.
Jonathan Ferrigno.
Nicole Toussaint.
Thomas Leloup.
Kaylee Henry.
Peter Dang.
Taylor Gleason.
Kiara Mancini.
Danielle Flynn.
Andrea Meredith.
Ross Bauer.
Melissa Lombardi.
Patrick Charmel.
Melissa Fink.
Andrew Francillo.
Catherine Wilburn.
Drew Arcolio.
Shannon Beatty.
Andrew Crosby.
Amanda Lasky.
George Worcester.
Asia Booker.
Charles Catala.
Fiola
Jose
Flaherty.
Torres.
Fiola Flaherty.
Michael McGillicuddy.
Jamie Nunes.
Kyle Ustak.
Antonio Rossini.
Alex Fredericks.
Maura Woods.
Kyle Kastakevich.
Colleen Mullaney.
Alexander South.
Henry King.
Courtney Curtis.
Kaylin Mary Caleri.
Tegan Gata.
Ariel McNeely.
Karen DeLeon.
Erica Cindy Chowta.
Kate Sartori.
Lexi Eastman.
Robert Roach.
Melissa Rosenblatt.
Shane Russo.
Richard Cheney.
William Corr.
Allison Brewer.
Robert Femia.
Brendan Thoreau.
Emma Samansky.
Joshua Proknicki Fitzgerald.
Lauren Harrigan.
Noah Denegri.
Austin Dowdle.
Matthew Carr.
Elizabeth Christina Sfrondrini.
Douglas Dwayne Gentile.
Jillian Miller.
Carl Skates.
Rania Papagnano.
Nicholas Wing.
Christopher S. Gillis.
Zuki Bond.
Matthew Skatchel.
Nahua Yang.
Tierney Corrigan.
Chen Ji.
Spencer Stack.
Chao Yu Hu.
Chris Dugalecki.
Chen Chao Yao.
Chloe Crispin.
Iju Lee.
Celia Elvidi.
Mandy Shu.
Laura Dula.
Julan Shen.
Rachel Eldrucker.
Yin Wu.
Danielle Robustelli.
Sin Chu.
Gabriel Levac.
Jingmin Lee.
Mallory Walsh.
Yishi Lin.
Francesco Sandillo.
Xin Chen.
Rui Nkanarka.
Adam Palenk.
Scott Toolings.
Christopher Jones.
Stephen Richheimer.
David Mahoney.
Enzo Marino.
Rady Kanai.
Adam Pajoli.
Nicole Rachel Sinman.
Samuel Murphy.
Daniel Thomas Nadhazi.
Emily Boucher.
Nicole Ann McHugh.
Natalie Carmona.
Sherazad Haroon.
Conrad Anderson Dolhoff.
Kyle Kibbe.
Benjamin Waisner.
Adam Wisniewski.
Connor Quinn.
Axel Cologne.
Mark Perlman.
Akash Patel.
Peter Carboni.
Katerina Campelli.
Matt Caparato.
Lillian Chung.
Michael Prince.
Stephanie Doyle.
Derek Pugon.
Lisa Spencer.
Ravion Chanel Collins.
Stephen Fiore.
Karonica Davidson.
Andrew Redica.
Kate Victoria Pedard.
Vincent Cortez.
Todd Harrell.
Matthew Wise.
Charles Andrews.
Thomas Alfred Weaver.
Daniel D. Nicola.
Rachel Crocker.
Yan Jun Chen.
Alexis Polina.
Mai Huen.
Kim Cerullo.
Jerica Lynn Moyer.
Benjamin Martin.
Joseph Donner.
Jayanti Dixon.
Phil Windenhain.
Ryan Coulter Travis.
Timothy McCullough.
Travis Greenbaum.
Anya Akins Kinney.
Gabriel Marmalejos.
Monica Deshmukh.
John Wilkinson,
Tatiana Smith.
Michael Buckley,
Allison Gagney.
Thomas Masari,
Topeka Sewin Kumar.
John Giardina,
Patrick Tucker.
Robin Karen,
Caitlin Alper.
Soha Siddiqui,
Tariq Brooks Bay.
Andre Lewis,
Stephen Tramatozzi.
Jaleesa Davis,
Thomas Simeon.
Chellis Allen,
Jacob Easterly.
Victorine Daniel,
Todd Anderson.
Cassandra Vaval,
Giancarlo Morales.
Christian Melendez,
James Vergolto.
Carlin Tupper,
Motenrola Bulamole.
Lucy Nutting,
Casey D'Agostino.
Shannon Cregan,
Tina Crocco.
Stephanie Luzak,
Teresa Robbins.
Teresa Malot,
Stephen Emmerich.
Jamie Diner,
Katie Kanata.
Olivia Idy,
Emily Jessen.
Rebecca Salamak,
Meg McCabe.
Rachel Ursity,
Matthew Velasquez.
Stephanie Palmer,
Derek Wong.
Victoria Bauer,
Beth Lytle.
Lauren Strelacci,
Melanie Burnett.
Michelle Halawadi,
Kelly Chassie.
Sayada Martin Cook,
Jason Foberg.
Catherine Kenzel,
Thomas Bertrand.
Christine Guadalupe,
Corey Sale.
Sean Quint,
Christy Shear.
Michael Bosworth,
Raynor Jason Bloom.
Ree Sue,
Mike Webb.
Yuming Gua,
Eric Rose.
Tian Ming,
Alexander Frankel.
Ho-Shing Shu,
Daniel Koval.
Su Jin,
Vanessa Kelleher.
Thomas Murphy,
Lara Oleknowitz.
Anna Mills,
Karen Greco.
Mike Lemire,
Danielle Harris.
Joseph Clark,
Kyle Roulard.
Adam Silly,
Aisha Priester.
Margot Godhelf,
Samantha Roberts.
Kimberly Gurahu,
Mark DiNicola.
Emily Kellner,
Justin Charles Gugleme.
Samantha Ruggiero,
John McKenna.
Darren Young,
Keith Means. Adam Durand.
Brittany Bousquet,
Jennifer Haven.
Aaron O'Brien,
Macy Engengrove.
Paige Moylan,
Philip Guay.
Bridget Rooney,
Luigi Mazzata.
Amanda Kohalmi,
Laura Grenier.
Juliana Whitaker,
Stephanie Martini.
Elizabeth Wallet,
Lindsay Walsh.
Allison J. Cohen,
Scott Lokes.
Abigail Cunningham,
Joshua Morse,
Shira Weinstein,
Shannon Fitzpatrick,
Lauren Weiner,
Katie LaRue,
Amy Batuski,
Kelly Skanen,
Molly Roth,
Nicholas Adamo,
Minerva Maldonado,
Allison Vitkus,
Krista Leary,
Jonathan Chu,
Joshua Volsky,
Kimberly Wilson,
Sarah Sherman,
Marina Sanami,
Samantha Freer,
Tyler Kraus,
Sharon Hanley,
Joe Caselli,
Sean Kowalishin,
Megan Merrigan,
Mariah Lipscomb,
Sabrina Herrera,
Kyle Twombly,
Samuel Jalbert,
last name,
Sean Fritsch,
Vadim Sarabrinsky,
Cindy Poulin,
Connor Doucette,
Caitlin Werner,
Neil Mistry,
Evan Salzbach,
Daniel Savo,
Christopher Borton,
Caitlin Stevens,
Alexander Kops,
Jessica Callahan,
Sean Michael Schifrin,
Alexa Tomasi,
Michael Robert Podeswa,
Nico Alfaro,
Ethan Minor Ives,
Jason Zilberman,
Haley Crumble Home,
Andrew Bernarbrio,
Carissa Stelzer,
Kimar Tucker,
Alyssa Mutarelli,
John Casola,
Scott Petropoulos,
Brian Mulhall,
Julie Petropoulos,
Eli Freund,
Ryan Fennell,
Kenneth Dutton,
Gregory Buckland,
Michael Peng,
Joseph Paquette,
Matt Skipakowski,
Paul Garland Jr.,
Ryan Tolmish,
Gregory Longo,
Michael Laputra,
Andrew Kindle,
William Marr,
Kyle McTiernan,
Tyler Brandt,
Stephen DeCapua,
Amit Ketkar,
Brittany Carroll,
Ashley Sullivan,
Sean Conway,
Philip Jones,
Antonio Russo,
Haley Manfredi,
Rodrigo Sousa,
Liozang,
Flynn Donovan,
Yalushang,
Scott Norton,
Ryan Frank,
Kenny Brand,
Ariel Dowski,
John Paulina,
Kenneth Eilish Jr.,
Kyle John Stacy,
Philip Richard Frederick Welford III,
Tyler Bryn,
Sean May,
William Pritchard,
Joshua Forboyade,
Caitlin Carroll,
Tiffany Daly,
Nicholas Riconti,
Christine Sang,
Gavin Hellring,
Matthew Gentile,
Benjamin Yacano,
Sarah Chiodi,
Scott LaChapelle,
Priyanka Balan,
Timothy Bauman,
Gunjan Saxona,
Nicholas Kavanaugh,
Shriteja Golakoda,
Sean Reddy,
Neil Rana,
Zach Hummel,
Bhumi Razik Patel,
Spencer Adel,
Syeda Farrell Hyder,
Blake Hetherington,
Nicholas QL.
Jared Stratos.
Haley Flora.
Brandon Bogus.
Julie Bartoli.
Shravan Rao.
Catherine Dwyer.
Gregory Smith.
Michael Piccolo.
Brian Mandaglio.
John McNamara.
Stephanie Dolson.
David Greenberg.
Avital Avritalasso.
Ryan Mullins.
Kelsey Higgins.
Alexander Park.
Kendra Kohansky.
Dominique Gabrielle Angel Canestri.
Chelsea Zabel.
James Denisevich.
Abigail Lowry.
Erica Armeos.
Natalie Carlone.
Aubrey DeBlois.
Jacqueline Waddles.
Lawrence Patrick Cotton Jr.
Natalie Honda.
Alexander Ramsey.
Diana Niehaus.
Matthew Schneider.
Jacqueline Saruda.
Connor Scott.
Cole Ashter.
Adam Caravallo.
Ryan Fitzgerald.
Michael Mercado.
Brett Connery.
Thomas Callahan.
Jason Marsh.
Giovanni Sapp.
Maxwell Margonaut.
Justin Render.
Zachary Collins.
Christopher Bruyette.
Gregory Mentee.
Kathleen Healy.
Jenna Colleran.
Alexander Max Lupka.
Emily Perrine.
Brooke Alexandra Macelis.
Colin Gromish.
Sean David Christopher.
Benjamin Kozera.
Han Ha.
Craig Martin.
Ryan Hoyle.
Robert Atalika.
Sydney Smith.
Liban Mohammed.
Benjamin Jenkins.
John Sedensky.
Sam Katz.
Anthony Renzulo.
Andrew Boitos.
Victor Tran.
Ross Balaban.
Connor Frey.
Alexander Welch.
Brett Alexander St. John.
Jonathan Rubenfeld.
Timothy Ignacio Mackin.
Macaulay Venora.
Christopher Ventura.
Anthony Mayette.
Greg Vargas.
Olivia Ralt.
Lachey Lawson.
Cameron Longo.
Emily Raymond.
Tiana Malevic.
Christiane Glenlong.
Andrew Napa.
Michaela Francini.
Elizabeth Abreu.
Michael Murphy.
John Finney.
Max Fazekas.
Michael Hollenberg.
Jack Zachary.
James Alexandro.
Anthony Naples.
Brian Schmidt.
Joseph Izzo.
Gregory Koch.
Nicholas Petronchak.
James Joseph Conlon IV.
Emily Spriegel.
Tierra Schaefer.
Alexandria D'Annunzio.
Jessica Jaluk.
Stephanie Keith.
Zachary Ellis.
Paul Wildenham.
Will Highland.
Kevin Friend.
Anthony Minicino.
Samuel DeRozier.
Patrick Malley.
Solomon Eniges.
Xavier Owens Jones.
Matthew Shepard.
Sean Ertel.
Connor Hall.
Courtney Guida.
Michael Sadich.
Emily Tukowski.
Deanna Wumbolt.
Zachary Johnson.
Constantine Ziotis.
Dwayne Houghton.
Corey Lametta.
Erica Doman.
Carlos Romero da Silva.
Amin Assar.
Omar Matos.
Anthony Calamusa.
Nick Polanski.
Sean Pershaw.
Joseph Ricky.
Catherine Lemus.
Rebecca Elizabeth Washington.
Leah Voles.
Joie Beltran.
Wesley Mitra.
Taija Janine Anderson.
Allison Olderman.
Jonathan Sanchez.
Tessa O'Leary.
Gina Russo.
Alex Lemire.
Scarlett O'Sullivan.
Jason Wong.
James Hamrin.
Imani Kane.
Christopher Devanzo.
Chelsea Austin.
Christopher Dickey.
Kayla Timbrell.
Jeffrey Max Dutt.
Portia Davis Till.
Christopher Gutierrez.
Tiffany G. Heath.
Sebastian Verpile.
Olivia Otto.
Christopher Maderos.
Rosalie Vega Colon.
Tiffany Cousins.
Amy Morcus.
Michael Barrett.
Edward Elcrona.
Seth Travis.
Heather Krasler.
Stephen McKay.
Sam Elmazy.
Samantha Dow.
Evan Duigo.
Shannon Spizzano.
Kevin Bruniger.
Vanessa Kahn.
Yara Zaccarado.
Ryan Ford.
Normalise Colon Ascanio.
Matthew Molesky.
Jasmine Bryant.
Christopher Antonucci.
Vanessa Quatang.
Elizabeth Kelly.
Timothy DiMatteo.
Marcus Newman.
Jeffrey Vidal.
James Crimmins.
Audina Ferry.
Eric Eisenberg.
Christina Barone.
David Matthew Friedman.
Ravi Pachar.
Shadera Namani I.
Nigel Shah.
Jacob Berezin.
Peter Mulholland.
Michael Janowitz.
Peter Brasjonas.
Andrew Ferristine I.
Victoria Chen.
Jeremy Kaplan.
Aaron Goldstein.
Zachary Blackman.
Christopher McGrath.
Christopher Terry.
Mark Hanna.
Jason Novak.
Shreya Patel.
David Levine.
Connor Gavin Murphy.
Rebecca Ducheneau.
Timothy McDonald.
Kenneth Stone.
Michael Seabrook.
Thomas Passerani.
Justin Cato.
Tarup China.
Delaney Sullivan.
Levy Brunetti.
Cassandra Bennett.
Queen Geraldine Robinson.
Benjamin Perlswag.
Flawless Khadija Belly.
Colby Sim.
Adrien Paul.
Jessica Leff.
Rachel Gavin.
We're just waiting for them to take their seats so they can stand up again. You guys ready? This is the part you've been waiting for. Will the degree candidates in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences please rise? Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School, Kent Holsinger.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of the University of Connecticut, and in accordance with the procedures and regulations of the university, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science for which you have been presented at the 135th commencement of the university. I charge you now to assume fully the responsibilities of your new status, to enlarge upon the foundations of knowledge which you have acquired, to take upon yourselves the obligations of an enlarged vision, and to seek to do your fair share of the work of this world. You are now UConn alumni. Congratulations.
Now, graduates, or should I say alumni, it's time for you to move your tassels from the right to the left side of your mortarboard. Now, if you ever forget which side your tassel goes on, remember, you wear it on your left side, over your heart, to remind you of your alma mater, UConn. You may please be seated. Only another hour and a half to go. No, we're done. So before we end today's ceremony, I would like to thank our organist, Angelo Salcedo, the Herald Trumpeters, I think their names are all Herald, too. And the event staff, the college marshals, for all the work they've done in putting together today's ceremony. I would like to especially thank our 4 name readers, Mary Ann Dubuque, Karen Glass, Craig O'Connor, and Elizabeth Zazima. Each of them is an alumni or alumnus of the UConn's College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and together they have read over 1,000 names. Will the name readers please stand and be recognized? Don't try this at home, they're professionals. And again, thank you. The ceremony will now conclude with the recessional of the faculty and the platform party. We do ask that all alumni now and members of the audience please remain seated until the recessional has ended. Then please exit through the upstairs to the mezzanine level, out the doors. It's a beautiful day, get some good pictures. And now one final thank you. All the mothers in the audience and grandmothers, please put your hand up. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.